Well, welcome to this week's edition of Made for More. It's a live masterclass, and we're going to be talking today about how to reset your momentum as you are building your personal brand. So, first things first, let's get started. First thing we want to talk about today is the scripture that I like to open up with when we start. It's just a reminder that each of us has a purpose and a plan for our lives that God has given us, and a reason to be here and a reason to show up. And some of us are just sitting back and not allowing the full potential of our purpose to come to life. And so the reason this class exists is to help you to tap into the next level of your potential for your personal brand, for your business brand, or for that project that you believe that you were called to do, the impact that you believe that you were called to make. So let's just start with this scripture. If you're a Bible believer, if you're not a Bible believer, this should encourage you as well. But Ephesians 2:10 in the Bible, in the New International Version, says, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God has prepared in advance for us to do." And I like to use that scripture as a reminder that we are not just here placed on the earth to take up space or to waste time. There's something that's in each of us that is to be used to help someone else in this life to get through life. Now, some of us are called to big stages. Some of us are called to big platforms and to big crowds where we go out and we impact and we use our purpose and our passions to impact and empower a lot of people on a wide scale. But for a lot of people, that impact that you are called to make may just be within your small community. It may just be within your neighborhood, or it may be somewhere that you are already showing up every day and you just need to tap into what it is that you have been called to do. Because someone out there is waiting for you to show up, waiting for you to do that which you've been called to do. So, this is a conversation of the day, though, because I've had to answer this same question in my personal life recently. And also, I come across this question quite often. I've had someone ask me this just within the past week or so, and it's something that I know is on a lot of people's minds as they are building. We are now in the month of April, right? You've set out to do so many things when the year came in. You had so many high hopes for what it is that you wanted to be able to do, what it is that you believed you would have already accomplished by now. But for whatever reason, you have not been able to tap into that. You have not been able to find your stride. You've not been able to do the thing or to get it off the ground. Or maybe you started with all excitement, doing all the things that you knew you needed to do, but for some reason, those things have not lifted you up, elevated you, or helped you to get off the ground. So a lot of people have this question right now. Is it time to quit? Is it time to give up on the big goal or the big dream or the idea that you had? Maybe you've had it for a long time already, right? Maybe this is not your first time attempting to do this thing. You set out to do it a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and you may be asking yourself the question now, is it time to quit? Is it time to stop? Is it time to move on to something else? Is it time to let that big dream go? And this may be a hard question to ask or to answer or to face or to have to dig into. It may be something that you've been intending to sit down and actually work through for a while, but you're afraid of what the answer is going to be. So the question is, why are you even considering whether or not now is the time to quit? Possibly. Why is that a consideration? For some people, it could be because what you set out to do that you thought was so simple, that you thought was within your reach or within your ability to do, you thought that you should have been doing, and you're finding it to be a little bit more complicated than you thought it would be, right? So you're thinking out, this should be easy. I know how to do this. This is something that I'm good at. This is something I have the resources for already, and it's something that I can do with my eyes closed. Why is this so difficult? And the first thing you have to know is that simple and easy are not necessarily the same thing. So simple could be that you know what you need to do, you have the tools for it, you know the steps, You could do it with your eyes closed. It's one, two, three, boom, boom, boom. But then easy is a different expectation. With the expectation that it should be easy, that is probably you thinking that you should not have as many obstacles that you have to get it done, or as many setbacks or as many challenges. You should be able to just step up to the plate and do that thing. But simple and easy are not the same. So your big dream may be simple, but there's no guarantee of anything in this life that it's gonna be easy. And so maybe that's why you're considering whether or not it is time to quit. But on the other hand, on the other side, there is this huge possibility that some of the dreams that you've had, some of the projects that you started, some of the big things that you've set out to do are past the expiration for those things to happen in your life. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you're too old or it's no longer relevant. What I'm saying is that sometimes in life, some of the things that we've dreamt of doing for a long time, or we've always felt this passion to go after, some of those things represent a past version of ourselves that no longer exist or are no longer relevant or are no longer useful or needed. And so while you're considering if this is something that you should pursue or something that you need to quit, you are going to have to sit down with yourself and hopefully with the help of someone maybe who has more expertise or experience or someone who is not as emotionally invested into what you're doing to get some feedback so that you can make the decision as to whether or not it's time to quit or time to let that thing go or let that dream go or bury that. And I can say this too, right? Sometimes when we're facing the reality that some of our dreams are no longer representative of where we are now, of who we are now, sometimes the reality of it is that you need to give yourself permission to let it go, right? Let go of the guilt of not accomplishing this thing because everything on our to-do list, everything on our life goals list are not necessarily for us. For example, you could have had a dream when you were 14, and as you matured and as you grew up, you realized, okay, that was that was a partial view of the real world. And the reason I wanted to do that was based on lack of knowledge or experience of the world. And so I have to let it go. But then there's also the fact that maybe you now have to reframe it and make it relevant. Make it relevant. So even as I'm saying to you, maybe it is time to quit, or maybe it's not time to quit, consider this. Maybe what you're actually quitting on is that version of it, that iteration of it, right? So maybe that's the thing that you need to quit and start over and start again. And as we continue on in the conversation, I'm going to give you some things that you need to consider as you are deciding what new version of you, what new version of your purpose, what new version of how you're going to show up is what you need to be focusing on right now. But before I get too deep into it, just to let you know right off the top, these are some of the things that I'm going to be presenting to you as offers to work with me more in the future, right? So I am a personal brand coach. I help and I do a hybrid of coaching and strategy for clients to help them to actually step into the next level of their potential for their personal brands or their business brands, or to actually launch the thing that they have set out to do. And the first thing I have is a free download that you can get online. It's called Unlock Your Momentum Advantage. It's a self-assessment quiz to help you to recognize some of the things that are themes in your life, your experiences, your past, your story, whatever it is, and how to use those things for greater impact now. And the second thing I have is for entrepreneurs. It is a workbook. It's a workbook to help you to navigate through some of the experiences, some of the conversations that you need to be having, filling in some of the blanks that a lot of entrepreneurs, when they've just started, had not known that they needed to start. And this book is available on Amazon, and you can get it now. And then the third thing that I have that is an opportunity for you to work with me some more is a group coaching or group cohort program that's coming up in April. The date is to be announced very soon, and it's called the Next Level Brand Launchpad. Now, it is a group cohort to help you to work through the workbook. And so that you're not just faced with this workbook, you're looking at the questions and you're deciding, okay, maybe I need to put this off for later because now is not the time, or I don't have the time. So what this Launchpad group is going to do is give you a chance to work on the workbook in community, to stay accountable, to get feedback from the people who are in your space, and also to get access to other experts and entrepreneurs who can help you specifically on whatever part of the journey that you currently are on. And then the last thing, you can call or you can book a 15-minute call with me where we could do 15 minutes worth of coaching to help you to determine what your next steps are supposed to be, or what your next step is going to be to help you to move forward in your purpose, or to get started, or to take the next move that you need to make. So if you need someone to talk to you who's not emotionally connected, but has experience and expertise in this topic of knowing when it's time to quit, when it's time to stop, to reset, to restart, you could book a 15-minute free coaching call with me, and I'll help you to determine what your next steps should be. So now let's get into it. And this is what we're going to be covering today in this class: connecting the dots between your story and your purpose, breaking free from what's been holding you back from moving forward, and what are your first steps going to be to activating your purpose and your impact. So this is a personal branding class. And so I got to teach you what branding actually means. So I started off as a graphic designer, turned to a brand designer, turned into a brand educator and coach. And what I found to be a common misconception in the world of branding is what branding actually is. So coming from my experience and my background as a brand designer, what I found is that a lot of people think that when we talk about branding, what we're actually talking about is, the logos, the graphics, and that's usually the first thing that people come to me to talk about. They want to know, how do I get a logo? How do I get started with building the look? How do I get started with showing up online? And so branding, I want you to know that first thing about branding, it is personal. It is absolutely personal. But the second thing is, it's not about you. Even though it starts with you, it's not about you. And then the third thing I want you to know is that everyone already has a brand. So you may be thinking, I don't have a brand, so I don't need to worry about these things yet. I'm just starting. But guess what? Everyone has a brand, because if I could put it simply and as basic as possible, your brand is your reputation. It's what people already think about you. So when you walk into the room, they say, don't judge the book by its cover, right? But we do that. And that's how we get through life. That's how we make decisions on how we are supposed to move and who we're supposed to interact with and who we want to relate with. We make a judgment about who we think they are, their character, their reputation, their image, based on what they present, based on what we perceive, based on what's true in our lives. So everyone already has a brand. That's your reputation. But as you're making a decision now to go and to build a personal brand, what you're saying is you're going to take control of the narrative. You are going to take control of the narrative, and you're going to put the things in place that you need to put in place to help people to see you and to know you based on how you want to show up, how you want to present yourself, how you want to help them, how you want to present yourself in the world. And so that's where we get into the conversation about logos and colors and looks and things like that. But that is a lower level part of the conversation that you need to get into once you already know some other basic things that I am going to be sharing with you in the rest of this segment. So the first thing you need to do in order to activate your calling, to build your brand, to live a life of more purpose and impact, is to gather the evidence, right? So we have all these experiences in life. We have all of these stories that we have, things from our childhood, things from our adulthood, our education, our background, our expertise, things that we learned on the job, things that we figured out how to do, things that we've creatively done. All of these things adds up to who we are and how we're supposed to show up in the world, right? And so in order for you to activate your calling, the first thing you need to know is what is your calling? And to know what your calling is, you need to know who you are and how you were created to serve, how you were created to serve in this world. And so here it is, this awareness equation that I've created to help you on this journey of learning how to activate your calling. And this is what I call the brand awareness equation. These are the four things that I believe that I've discovered over the years that you need to have in place before you start the conversation about actually building the brand, right? So before you start talking about colors, logos, audience, showing up, all those things, these are some of the things that I found that a lot of people are missing in the conversation. They don't know. So they cannot activate their calling because they don't know what their calling is. And they don't know what their calling is because of number one, self-awareness. There are a lot of people who lack the knowledge of who they are. They don't know what they bring to the table. They don't know what their gifts are. They know what other people have told them, maybe, or they know certain parts of themselves, but they don't know that. Their entire story, everything that they've ever gone through in this life, everything that they've ever learned, every road that they've ever walked, every job that they've ever had, every desire that they've ever had adds up to the full story of who you are and who you're called to serve and how you are meant to activate your potential and your calling in this world. So the first thing in this brand awareness equation that you need to tap into or lean into is having the conversation with yourself or maybe with people around you that know you well or who can give you an objective opinion of who you are so that you could know what the clues are in your life that adds up to who you are in this world today, right? And so the first thing is self-awareness. Self-awareness. And a part of self-awareness is knowing who you are. And it's also knowing that you may not be called to serve everyone, right? There are parts of you that will attract some people, and there are parts of you that will cause other people to stay away. And that is okay. It's not your job to be everything to everyone, but it is your job to show up as who you were called to be and to present the gifts and the time and the experiences and the talents that you have to the world in a way that helps them to become better versions of themselves and in a way that allows you to become a better version of yourself. And so as you're going through the self-awareness conversation, what you're going to be asking yourself is, what are the parts of you that are irreplaceable or non-duplicatable? What are the parts of your story or your experiences that other people don't have? Right? What are things that you know to do? What are things that you can think of to do that other people don't have the answer for, that you have it? Because it's somehow tied into how you think and how you present and how you show up into the world. And then the second thing in the brand awareness equation is the people awareness. I've discovered this time and time again. When people are setting out to build businesses or to build brands or to present themselves to the world, a lot of people sometimes forget that there are other people on the other side of this, right? There are people out there that are waiting for you to show up. And those people's, their needs may not be the same as yours. Their interests may not be the same as yours. But if you're saying that you're going to present yourself as the solution to their problems, present yourself in a way that allows you to impact and empower them, you need to know who these people are. You need to know what motivates them, what ticks them, what triggers them, what inspires them, what problems they have, what goes on in their mind, what motivates them to make decisions. You need to know where they are right now and where they're trying to be. And so that's the second part of the brand awareness equation that you need to lean into. It's the recognition and the remembrance that there are other people on the other side of this. We live in a digital age now, right? So we can't really, as much as we would like to try to get away from doing things socially, digitally, the social media conversation. I talk to a lot of people who want to make impact, but the first thing they say is, I don't like social media. But the reality of it is, if that's where the people that you're called to serve are, then you need to be where they are. And so you got to get over like, okay, this is my preferences, my likes. This is what I don't want. This is what I want, even though that's an important part of the conversation so that you can actually do what you want to do with momentum. There's also the fact that because you're setting out to serve other people, you need to take into consideration what certain things mean to them and present your story and present the parts of your story to them that relates to them, that allows them to hear you, that allows them to know that of the 100 or 1,000 people that are in the room, these are the people that you're talking to. And that's also a part of, it also ties into the self-awareness part, because as you have all these experiences, all these ideas, as you're setting out to serve a certain group of people, by knowing who those people are, then you know what parts of your story, what parts of your experiences, what types of messaging that you need to bring to life in order to attract those people or to connect with those people or to help those people to be able to trust you as someone who has the answer to their problems. And then the third part of the brand awareness equation is the problem awareness. This is another thing that a lot of people setting out to build brands or to do big things sometimes neglect to consider. Because as I said before, right, as you're building a personal brand, it's personal, it's about you, but it's not all about you. It is you, but it's about you presenting the part of you that makes it possible for you to help other people. And so, in order to help people, you need to know what they need help with. What problems do they have? And here's another interesting thing that I found out over the years. It's mind blowing, right? You could be the expert. You could be a doctor, for example. You've done all the years of studying and research. You know all the behind the science. You know everything that the average person doesn't know. But when a person walks into the doctor's office, the doctor's responsibility is not just to help them solve the problem that they have, but to help them solve the problem that they believe they have. So as you're setting out to solve problems, you got to understand that some people don't know what the problem is. They have an idea of what the problem is. They think they know, and they have in their minds sets locked down. They holding on to it with everything they got, and they believe this wholeheartedly. They believe that this is the problem that I have. But you, as the expert, may know that that's not the problem they have. And so, in knowing that, you now have to build trust with them to say that they could trust you to help them to solve the problem, whatever the problem is. And you have to have the sensitivity enough to know that you can't just sometimes just go out there and shove it in their faces. You're wrong. I'm right. You have to allow them to trust you, that to know that you have the answer to the problem that they have, whether you agree on what the problem is, but you in your expert ability, you in your training, you in your ability to actually solve the problem, you know what the problem is, and you just solve it in a way that allows them to get the outcome that they're looking for, even if they don't know that that was the problem that they have, right? So when you go into the doctor's office, if you walked into a doctor's office right now and without talking to you, without having a conversation, without hearing anything from you at all, the doctor just gave you a prescription and sent you on your way, you would not trust that doctor. You wouldn't trust the doctor at all. As a matter of fact, you should probably be reporting that doctor to someone, because how do you know what problem I have if you don't know what problem I think I have? If you don't know my symptoms, if you don't know what prompted me to actually come and see you, if you don't know who I am, if you don't know, if you have not asked anything about me, you didn't ask my medical history, you didn't ask anything, you didn't ask how did I get the injury that I had, or what symptoms that I discovered that made me believe that I needed to come and see you. If you did not ask any of those things, how do you know how to serve me or how to help me? And I say this because as we're on this journey of brand building, I see this all the time. So we go straight from I have a good idea to I have the answer without having any conversations with anybody else, of people awareness, of your self-awareness, how you're able to help them of the problem that they have. And so as in this brand awareness equation, which is all the things that you need to be considering, all the things that you need to build, all the conversations that you need to have with yourself, with the people that you set out to solve, with experts, with your partners, with everyone, in order for you to actually go into the last part, which is to build the brand. You've got to put all this together, right? But you can come up at the answer to these questions at any point, but I encourage you, save solution awareness for last. Save the solution awareness for last, because as you discover who you are, as you discover who the people that you're serving are and their needs, as you discover what problems that they believe they had, your idea of what the solution may be something completely different than what you had in mind. And that may be, and that often is a lot of places, a lot of times, the place where people get stuck in building their brands. So they're wondering now, I've done all the things, I know all the answers, I've brought everything to life, but for some reason it's not happening. And that's because they got stuck at the solution awareness part. They weren't aware enough of everything else in the brand awareness equation to help them to come up with a solution that attracts the people they're meant to serve, or supports them or serves them in the way that they need or they feel they need to be served. And so step two in helping you to activate your purpose, activate your passion, to reignite, to get reignited. This is after now you've done the self-discovery, you've done all the things about gathering the evidence and the details of what you need to be doing in order to help you to move forward. You need to now remind yourself, in order to be reignited, because we're talking about resetting your momentum, right? You need to remind yourself why it matters. Why does this matter in the first place? You started out in January, a year ago, 5 years ago, on this journey to building a brand, to living a life of impact and purpose, to doing something that meant more than just living and existing every single day. And somewhere along the line, you just lost steam. You lost some of your energy. You lost the ability and the desire to want to do it, because life was lifing, right? Real things were happening in your life. You have to take care of business, so now you don't have time to do as much things. You thought that you knew exactly how you'd set up, but now you don't have as much clarity as you thought you had when you started. You're out here and you're realizing that you're not as clear on what it is that you're doing as you thought you were. Or you set out to do the thing and you're realizing now that you're lacking the tools, right? You don't have everything you need. You don't have all the help and the support you need. Or maybe you started out there and for some reason, at some point along the way, you started to lose your confidence in your ability to do the thing, in your ability to show up. You started looking at what other people are doing on social, and you're realizing that you don't have all the things that they have. You don't have all the tools, you don't have all the budget, you don't have the gadget, you don't have the tech, you don't have the gimmicks, you don't have all those things. And these things could cause you to stop. These things could cause you to get overwhelmed and tired. These things could cause you to take that thing that you know deep in your heart is what you wanted to do and what you've been called to do and what you've been created for. And it could cause you to put those things on the side, because now you're saying, I need a break. I need to reset. I need to start again. I need something, and I don't know what that something is. And now you put it on the side, and then what happens is sometimes you never come back to it. Because every time you think about coming back to it, you get overwhelmed by all the thoughts and all the excuses and all the reasons why you couldn't do it in the first place, or you get re-traumatized by some of the things that triggered you or traumatized you or set you off when you did set out to do it that first time, right? When the challenges come in and you start remembering, oh, I remember this frustration, I remember this anxiety, I remember whatever, right? But in order for you to be reignited now, which is your second step to actually building momentum and resetting right now and to get you back on course so that another 5 years, 10 years doesn't pass, you need to remind yourself why it matters. So a lot of times you would hear people say, remember your why or know your why. But knowing your why is one thing, but knowing why it matters is something that will lift you up and cause you to decide and to know whether or not you need to keep going, or whether or not that is the thing that you need to forgive yourself for and allow that to just, allow yourself to take that off of your to-do list without regret, right? So you need to remind yourself why it matters. Why does it matter to you? Why did it matter to you in the first place that this is what you would do? This is how you would serve. This is how you would show up. Why does it matter to your family? Why does it matter to the people that are looking up to you for inspiration? Why does it matter to the people that you have set out to serve? And as we're talking about this conversation of why it matters, I want to point out these two things. Some things, there are some things that should not be monetized. There are some things that you do in this life that are attached to your purpose that you should never put a monetary value on it. Because then when you start entering in this conversation about money and money becomes the focus, it takes away the drive. So because in order to make the money happen, there's certain things you have to do systematically, administratively, all these things, and it takes into your creativity and it takes away your passion for it, right? And so it turns the thing that was so important for you to do into work. And so you're no longer building, now you're working. And as you're working, you're just losing a part of yourself. You're losing your reason for why you did it. You're just, something is coming out of you. And so there are some things that you were called to do that you just have to be okay with leaving those things there as the thing that I'll do because I really want to, without a monetary value attached to it. And that you would allow your work, your actual working or your business to be the tool that funds your ability to do that. And guess what? That is okay. In this season where everyone is always talking about getting the bag and we're talking about recessions and we're talking about economy and we're talking about, all these things, it could cause you to be just motivated in a wrong way and then take away from your ability to actually help people. But on the flip side of that conversation, there are some things that you need to hold personal to you that you don't monetize. Not everything that you set out to do that's a part of your purpose means that you have to start a non-profit venture. Not everything has to be a nonprofit, right? Not everything has to be something that you've made yourself the martyr for, that you're willing to sacrifice your family, your comfort, your lifestyle, and everything for. And there are ways that you could go about fulfilling your purpose, doing more, greater impact, setting up your businesses, building your brands in a way that allows you to be profitable and to still actually serve the purpose that you were called to serve. Right? So I like to talk about this eyeglass company called Warby Parker, and they've made it their mission to try to solve like vision problems around the world. But what they know, and which is what for-profit businesses know, is that there are people that have problems that you can solve, but one of their problems is not a money problem. So they don't have a problem paying. They don't have a problem putting their money behind a problem that they need to solve. They want to do that. As a matter of fact, they find more value in being able to pay for it, and they trust your expertise more by you charging for it. And so they're willing to pay you for it. But you could start a social enterprise or a social project, one in which you're now doing things that has a for-profit agenda, but with a non-profit mission attached to it. So what Warby Parker does is they charge you enough for your glasses so that they could take a part of the profit from that to actually now go ahead and make eyeglasses available to people around the world who can't afford it, right? So they'll take from they'll it's I hate to say it like this, but it's kind of a Robin Hood approach, but it's not like stealing or anything like that. There are people that believe in the quality because Warby Parker offers quality products, quality services that people are willing to pay for, and they built a name and a reputation that people believe in because they put the value into it. But their agenda is actually to help solve other problems around the world, vision related problems. And so that's what they do. So as you're reminding yourself of why it matters, maybe now you need to go because you're reigniting, right? Maybe now you need to go and change the model for which you started when you set out to do that thing. You went out, you wanted to solve a problem. You decided that the people you're going to solve the problem for are the people who actually can't afford. And this is the catch where a lot of people end up, right? They want to solve a problem and they believe that in order to solve the problem effectively and live out their purpose, they have to find the people who can't afford it. And then you go and you create all these excellent packages, all these great services, all these, great offers, and then you present it to people who will never be able to afford it. And then you're now conflicted because you have to decide if you're going to abandon the people that you set out to serve, abandon the purpose that you set out for, and go strictly into supporting yourself and your family, or if you're now going to take what you have that's worth so much value because your experiences and your time is so valuable, and now you're going to reduce the value of it to next to nothing so that people can actually afford it. And then what that does, it's part of the catch-22. What that does is it causes the people that actually want to pay to no longer believe in what it is that you're doing because they're asking, why is this so cheap? Why is this so undervalued? If this is this undervalued, then this must not be worth anything. So remind yourself why it matters as you are on your journey to reigniting your passion. And then remember that everything doesn't have to be monetized, but some things are not supposed to be a nonprofit venture. Now, step 3, this is the last step in you now recognizing or you building momentum or you getting started again on this mission for you to find that gumption and that courage now to step up and to say, okay, I'm ready to do this again. I'm ready to start again. I'm ready to keep on going. And the step is to amplify your impact. And this is how we get into this conversation about building a personal brand. We're in a season now, a time now, and we've been here for a while, but it's been amplified by past seasons that we've come through, where people need connection. They're recognizing more and more that they need connection. They need people. They're recognizing more and more that they can't do things by themselves. They can't live life isolated, and they want connection. So as you're amplifying your ability to impact people, to impact the world, to empower, to do a little bit more than what you've been doing, because maybe you've been working, you've been building, but now you want to find a way to impact people on a wider scale. And this is where we come into the conversation about building that personal brand. And that is you giving people something to believe in, something to connect with, and something to remember you by. Something to remember and something to remember you by. And that's why we go through the brand awareness equation as to all those things that you need to have in place as you're building your brand so that you're not just going out there duplicating what you're seeing everyone else doing. You go on Instagram and you see an aesthetic on Instagram and you like it, you copy and you paste it, or you decide that, okay, everyone else is doing these big things and they have the logos and now I'm going to do that. But no, by you building the brand awareness equation and filling in those blanks, what you're doing is making your brand that you're going to build now something that's worth paying attention to, something that people actually could connect with, that actually helps people and solves their problems in a real way and not a fake way, not a spammy or a scammy type of way, in a way that actually allows you to stand out in the crowd and resonate with your true audience, with the 2% or the 5% or the 10% of people that are seeing you that you've actually been called to serve. And so a lot of people don't like to talk about building personal brands because they see it as, and this is fair for you to see it this way, but they see it as, okay, now I have to go online all day and I have to show everyone everything into my personal life and I have to always be camera facing and I have to do all these things that I'm not comfortable with. I don't want to do these things. I don't want to be on social media. I don't want to be the face of anything. I would like to work in the background. But if you are actually called to serve and you want to amplify your impact, with your personal story, with your experiences, with the knowledge that you have to show up. You have to show up where the people are. You have to show up for the people that you're called to serve. And building a personal brand is your opportunity to be able to do just that in a way that is meaningful and impactful. So you're giving people something to believe in. That means your message is your message or your mission or your vision is not just about how it benefits you, how you get, your pockets lined, or how you get to just, solve all your own personal problems, or to benefit yourself in your own personal way, but it's giving some people something to believe in. Do I believe in the message that I see? What did you believe in about this that made you to come on live, or that made you to say, I'm going to watch the replay because I know that I wouldn't be able to make it live, but I know for sure that I'm going to be watching the replay. What is it that made you come on? What is it that made you to do this? And so this is something that you have to find deep in yourself to give people something to believe in. The next thing you want to do is give them something to connect with. And when I say give them something to connect with, that is you now making the decision. I'm building this personal brand. Now I have to offer something. And I'm going to offer them a chance to connect with me on social media, maybe. Or maybe that's not your starting place. Maybe you're going to offer them a chance to work with you personally. You're going to start a group in your community. You're going to start an access point or give an access point for people to actually get to you. And that could also mean just short of actually writing, starting a business. If you haven't started a business or you're still in those beginning phases, that could mean writing a book. That could mean teaching a course. That could mean presenting yourself and positioning yourself as a speaker on a topic that you are experienced with to an audience that you relate to. That could mean joining a program that already exists, but in this program, connecting with people in a way that allows you to position yourself as a leader. That could mean starting a podcast. That could mean just going on the social pages that you already have and going live with the message that you have. So it could be all of those things, or it could be none of those things, or it could be to actually start the business, license the business, make it legal, present it and package it in a way that people could connect with you and actually have a door that they could walk through to get help from you in the way that they need it. And so as your obvious first steps, if you have not done the big thing yet, or you're still thinking about how to start, things that you could do, you could start by building a digital presence among the audience that you already have. You're on social media, they're on social media. You're scrolling, they're scrolling. Give them something that they could stop and pay attention to from you in your voice, in your tone, with your message, with your story, right? Add some content. So don't just be a consumer of content, but now you're going to add content to the internet. And not everyone is going to see it, but that's not the point, because you only setting out to serve the people that you set out to serve and to impact them in a way that allows you to amplify your impact. So here we are at the end now. And the question I have for you is, what is next for you? So this class wasn't about telling you the 1, 2, 3, this is what you do, start here, start there, don't start here, don't start there. This class is to motivate you to take your next step. Because not all of us are at the same place at the same time, going at the same pace. Not all of us has the same urgency. Not all of us has the same liberty to maybe go slow or go fast, right? So we're all at different places. But what this class is for and was designed for is to help you to take your next step. Help you to build momentum as you reset, as you recalibrate, as you decide what's the next thing that you are going to do. And if you came across this because maybe someone shared it and you did not get on a mailing list so that I can send you the resources that I have, I want you to go to this webpage now, bit.ly/madeformorelive, so that you can actually sign up to get in your inbox an opportunity to work directly with me or to get access to resources that I have. But as we wrap up and I wrap up the conversation about knowing, the conversation of the day that we started at the beginning, knowing where you need to be now, or if it's the time to quit, I want to encourage you with these things. So as you're deciding, first thing that causes a lot of us to quit prematurely or to take too long to decide to quit is because we try to do everything one time without building with momentum, without giving ourselves the grace to pace ourselves. And then the second thing is, as you're weighing out that conversation with yourself, is that you need to get to the place where you can trust your expertise and your experience. And that would help you to make your decision. Because if the reason why you are deciding if you should quit or not is based on your lack of confidence in yourself, you need to trust and know that what you have is enough. Your story is enough. Your gifts is enough. Your talents are enough to get started, to get going. And even if it's not everything that you need, you start and then you grow. You start where you are with what you have and then you grow. And then the third thing you need to consider is that you need to prioritize your priorities. So if it's something that's important to you, if it matters right now, you need to prioritize it. You can't just wait for it to happen on its own, because life is going to continue happening and you'll always be prioritizing the thing that's on fire at the moment, right? And so as you're having this conversation, deciding if it's time to quit, deciding if it's time to reset, deciding if it's time to go forward to whatever, you need to prioritize your priorities. And then the fourth thing is you need to get help before you crash out. Get help before you crash out. Don't wait until it's critical now and everything is on fire before you get help. In fact, you could start with help. A lot of times people think that starting with help means you have to have someone there, money, this, that, and the next thing. But help could be this. Help could be free resources. Help could be the group class that you could take at your pace. Help could be going down and just jumping all in and getting a full coaching program, or going and hiring an expert. Whatever help looks like for you, that's within the context or within your ability to actually get started on, start with help. And then the fifth thing is take some time. Take a moment to reset. Take the moment. Don't allow the moment to stop be because of something that happened. Let it be because you've made an intentional decision that you would stop and reset and recalibrate and think. But as you're doing this, what you want to do, set a timer. Don't just leave it wide open. Don't just leave it, I'll come back to this when things ease up, because this is life and things don't ever ease up. But what you're going to do is you're going to take some time to rest and reset. But then you're also going to set a timer. Give yourself some time. How long are you going to give yourself? A month? A week? 2 days? 3 months? Set an expectation for the time that you're going to allow yourself to reset realistically. And then during that reset time, you do the things that you need to do in order to make yourself ready to start again, so that you could build with momentum, so that you could start and at a pace where you could not just stay on the pace, but that you could actually grow with the pace, right? And so back to the beginning here, the opportunities that I have for you as a starting point, or to help you to discover what your next step should be. First thing, you could download the free resource that I have available on that website, or you'll get this in your inbox by tomorrow along with the replay. And that is the free resource to help you to see how your story, your experiences, your expertise, and everything, the knowledge that you already have, are actually valuable, and things that you can do right now and with what you have to get started, and the things that you could do to pique your interest, so that represents how you want to show up. And then I have the workbook, Start Where You Are. It's available in paperback. It's on Amazon. It's an actual workbook with prompts, with lines that you could fill in, so that you can fill in the blanks for your idea that you've either about to start or that you've already started, but you're finding that there's some things that you were missing in a conversation. And you can use that book to help you to just know what your next step should be. And then once again, I have the Next Level Brand Launchpad that's going to be launching at the end of this month. The date is going to be announced very soon. And in this program, you will be able to be a part of a 12-week cohort where you're in community with people who have similar stories. You get access to myself and as well as other industry professionals to help you with your specific point on your journey. And we're also going to be walking through that workbook, Start Where You Are, so that you don't just have it there sitting up waiting for you to have the right time to do it, but you get accountability to actually fulfill all of the prompts in the book, to actually get the thing done, to set a goal and to set a target for that. And then lastly, you can book a free 15-minute momentum call with me, where you'll get 15 minutes of coaching to help you determine what your next steps should be. And that is all I have for you today. I'm glad that you were able to come on and join it, but don't take for granted these opportunities that are available for you to be able to get the help that you need. Don't take for granted that you have so much time left with the rest of your life that you're just going to wait. Because what happens with a lot of people, and they have impact and purpose and things that they want to fulfill and do in this life, what they do is they allow life and to dictate their time and dominate their time. And they look back at the end of their lives and they realize that they did not take advantage of the resources that were available to them at the time that they were available. So thank you so much for coming on today. Thank you for watching the replay, if you're watching the replay. And yeah, let's get connected. Get in my inbox so that I can send you what I have available for you, and so that you could get and book one of those free coaching calls. These are available right now, but they're not going to be available forever. But this is just an opportunity for you to find out what your next step would be, and how you could work with me, and how I can work with you to help you to take the next step on your journey to being a person of purpose, impact, empowerment, and all those big things. All right, so bye for now. Till next time.